Okay. Tonight's Chabura is sponsored by Sandy and Sid Goldschmidt in honor of the birth of their grandson Moshe. Yeah. So first he sent me the message that he wants to sponsor. Then he sent me the message 2 days ago that his son's Moshe. That should be added on. Baruch Hashem, Mazel Tov. And it's also sponsored by Ann and Jack Mermelstein in memory of Ann's father, Pinchas ben Yitzchak Isaac, Shamash Evan Aliyah, whose yahrzeit is coming up. And it also is sponsored by Stacy and Avi Zanjurian in memory of Avi's grandfather, Yitzchak ben Yosef, Shamash Evan Aliyah, and also in memory of Avi's great-grandmother, Parneg Bas Yehuda, Zichrono Lervacha, the Neshamas Shehaven Aliyah. So the Gemara, we're going to skip a little bit to the next fundamental sugya. The Gemara was discussing different calculations. The Gemara discusses calculations about Erchin and how to cheshbon out how much a value of certain items are for hektish purposes. So then the Gemara says, maybe we'll back it up a little bit. The Gemara says, I really want to talk about the next Gemara, which is a major sugya in Sanhedrin. The Gemara says, Hakarkos tisha v'koyin. When you evaluate karka, that you have to evaluate how much is owed to hektish, the value of the karka for hektish, so you need 10 dayanim, whatever you call it, a group of 10, and it's tisha v'koyin. It's 9 Yisraelim and 1 kohen. So, for the Gemara, Minani Mili Amar Shmuel Asara Kohanim Ksuvim beParsha. There are 10 times that kohen is said in the parsha. Chad legufe Hana Chavimiyat Acharmiyat Vein Miyach Acharmiyat El Arabos Da'afilu Tes Yisrael VeEchad Kohen. So, Gemara says since it says kohen and then it has a kohen and a kohen and a kohen, so that's a drasha. Anytime you have a miyat after a miyat, so it's coming to be merabeh, so therefore it tells you that 9 Yisraelim are good and 1 kohen is necessary. Maskav Rav Huna Bereder Rav Nasan Ema Chamisha Kohanim Chamisha Yisraelim. Why don't you say that it's a miyat achar miyat, but that each one, Rashi explains, each one tells you that 1 kohen, and then the miyat achar miyat tells you 1 Yisrael. But at the end of the day, you end up with 5 and 5. So why do you automatically assume the miyat achar miyat is telling you 9 to 1? So the Gemara ends off kasha. It's a good kasha. Fine. So you see that there's a distinction between evaluating karkos that needs 10 dayanim, 9 Yisraelim and 1 kohen, and evaluating mataltalin, which we spoke about last week, Meiser Sheni, and not last week, 3 weeks ago, but Meiser Sheni and that the Ravai, which is 3 dayanim, is sufficient. Good. So the Gemara says, "Va'adam kayoytze behem." An adam is like karka. The value of an adam is, Rashi says, kekarkos debayi nami tisha v'koyin lashumu, to figure out how much if you are makdish or marich the value of an adam. So then you also need the same requirements as karka, adam hukish lekarka. So the Gemara says adam mikadosh. So is an adam kadosh? How can you makdish an adam? A person says the value is on me to pay to hektish, and I'll be mechayev that amount of money to the bedek habayis. Tisanya haomer dmei alai shaman oso ke'eved animkar b'shuk. Ve'eved iskish lekarkos. So the Gemara says that a person, a regular individual, who says that my value, I am mechayev myself to hektish. So the Gemara says, you now evaluate him like an eved. What type of eved? An eved ivri, an eved knaini. That might pertain, I don't want to talk about that tonight, maybe we'll talk about it at a future time. That might be totally in a major machlokas rishonim between the Rosh and Rashi, whether or not when a person damages another individual, and the Gemara in the 8th parak of Baba Kama tells us that we evaluate his pchas and how much he went down in value, how much he would now be sold ke'eved an nimkar bashuk. So there's a machlokes, the Rosh and Rashi, whether or not we value him like an Evet Knaini or we value him like an Evet Ivri. So this might connect. The Ktsos has a whole piece based on that machlokes, whether or not how they would learn this Gemara. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to come back to that. The Eved is kish lakarkos, and Eved is hukush lakarka. So says the Gemara, Boy Rav Avid. Ask Rav Avid. So now you tell me if a person is makdish himself, is marich himself, you need 9 kaihanim because Eved is hukush lakarka. So frek the Gemara, a fascinating shaila. What happens, Boy Rab Abba, what about the Seir? What if you're makdish the Seir? Seir ha'oimed ligozes bekam. What's the Saila? So on the one hand, Seir is part of the guf. Seir, hair, is something that grows out of the guf. So the Gemara says, do we say, when it's connected to the guf, that it's kagazes dami and it's bishleisha? Or no, in reality, the seir was not yet cut. There wasn't a haircut yet given, and therefore it's mechuber. So therefore it's kemechuber dami, and therefore what? It has to be evaluated by asara, because it's just like the man. It's just like the eved who's hukush l'karka, or the adam who's hukush l'karka. So the Gemara says, Tashma. I'll bring you a raya from a brisa. Hamakdish es avdo ein molin bo. A person is makdish his eved. He has an eved, and he's makdish him his kedusha to the Beis Hamikdash. So Gemara says there's no meila. Rashbag omer molin besairo. So why is there no meila? Now chas v'sholom that there's no iser meila. Avada there's iser meila. You're not allowed to defile this person, just like you're not allowed to defile karka. There's a halacha that when it comes to meila, there are certain limitations that the carbon meila, if you defile, you don't bring a carbon, or you don't have to pay a certain amount if you're moel. But avada, is it asa deraisa? Avada is asa deraisa. When the Gemara says yesh meila or ein meila, means are the ramifications of meila applicable to your situation? Meaning, do you bring a carbon? Do you have to pay the money? That's what the Gemara says. So the Gemara wants to know, what happens if you're makdish the eved? Can you be moyel? Is there meila post facto with the seir? So Gemara says, a machlekes tanoim. Rashbag says there is meila by the seir, and Hanakama says there is no meila by the seir. V'kaimelon, and we assume, the besairo ha'oymed ligazo is pligi. Shma mina. So we see it's a machlekes tanoim. Now, this is a fascinating debate that the Gemara is presenting over here. How do you look at seir? How do you look at hair? There is a major. There was a tshuva the Chassam Sofer that is very problematic. The Gemara says, let's just finish the Gemara. We'll get to the Chassam Sofer in a second. So the Gemara says, machlekes tanoim. Seir oimel ligazes, do we view it as part of the body, or do we view it as not part of the body? So Gemara says, Neima hani tanai kehani tanai. So we think that we want to link another machlekes tanoim like this machlekes tanoim. Why? There's another machlekes tanoim, this not. Rav Meir oimer yesh dvarim she'en kekarka ve'en kekarka. There are things that are physically like karka, but they're not kekarka. Ve'en chachamim moidavo, and chachamim don't agree. What was that vague machlekes about? Ketzad. Eser kfanim tu'unos masarti lach. I had a din Torah with someone, and I said, I gave you 10 vineyards and for you to watch or for you to take care of. V'hala omer einon ela chamesh. And he responds, you didn't give me 10, you gave me 5. What is that? That's classic moide b'miktzas. He's admitting to the partial amount. So the Gemara says, Rav Meir mechayiv. Rav Meir says he's obligated in a shvuah, which is the din of moide b'miktzas atayna yishava. And Rabbi Chachamim say, no, there's no shvua. Why is there no shvua? Because kol ha-mechuber lakarka, hareu kakarka. And we have a halacha, ein nishboin ala karkos. You don't take a shvu when it comes to karka. So says the Gemara, what's the machlokes between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim? Why is it that Rabbi Meir holds that when it comes to the grapes, you do take a shvua about modeh or the vines? You do take a shvua about modeh for 5 out of 10, and for Chachamim not. Everyone agrees to the din of modeh b'miktzas. Must be a machlokes whether or not we judge it as karka. So the Gemara says, and it was talking about grapes that were ready to be plucked off. They were going to be harvested. Mar Savar Kibsuras Damyan. Rabbi Meir obviously holds that we view them as if they're disconnected, as if they're no longer mechuber. Umar Savar Lau Kibsuras Damyan, and Chachamim say no, as long as they're mechuber lakarka, hareu kekarka. So isn't that the same machlokes as Seir Oimid Ligazes, hair that's growing out of a person that's hukash lakarka, that now that should be considered kekarka? This machlokes Tanaim between the Tanakama and Rashbag is the same machlokes Rabbi Meir and Chachamim by Anovim ha'omodis libotzer. So the Gemara says, no, it's not a link. Ad kan loy kam Rabbi Meir hasam kol kam b'deshav kaluhu mikchashkakshe. Rabbi Meir was only moida over there that it's kekarka because if you leave grapes too long on the vine, it's going to ruin the grapes. So therefore, he says, no, in reality, we have to view them kibtzuras damyan. They're gaining nothing from being connected anymore. So therefore, Meir says that's k'metaltalin. But not to say that all over, whenever something is oimed to be cut off, that's now considered to be as if it's in its new reality. But when it comes to sar, as long as, if you're not coming from a tefillin perspective, that the Mishabura says megadle blorious, a big problem. I told a few people in the yeshiva that they should get haircuts. They're too. What? Right, yeah, but here it's a brachal of atola. You're mamish, and you're not yotzei tefillin if it's too long. So it might be a shbuche mishbach. The Gemara is saying it might look nice, but in the areas of tefillin, it's not going to be necessarily the biggest shvach. So there, the Gemara is saying it's not going to be considered a chatzitza. There, the Gemara is not going to say it's not going to be considered ke metaltalin or ke gazas dami, and therefore even Rabbi Meir would agree. Yeah.
We assume that we're going to say by sayar applies to nails as well, or is there?
Oh, excellent. L'chayra, there shouldn't be a difference. L'chayra, there shouldn't be a difference, and Eitan is making a very profound ha'ara. But we need to give a little background before we get into what Eitan says. So there is a tshuva l'chsam sofer. I enjoy this tshuva because it's a little ironic. So we always have the perspective. It's a big chumrah. The Hasidish Olam that they before they get married, right after they get married. So there's a whole what's called a psho. There's a whole ceremony in the Chassidish Olam. Excuse me if there are any Chassidim watching, but I'm not so concerned. The mother-in-law comes and they shave the head the night after the chasana. That's and then they underneath they don't have any. They don't have any hairs. Anyone who wants more details can read any of the mishpachas recently. And my wife told me there were a lot of articles about this. Fine. So some sefer asks a gewaldige kasha. He says, I think it should be aser. Why should it be aser? Says the Chassam Sofer, because kol ha'omei ligzois is kegazes dami. Say if you're going to have a ceremony, you're going to have a whole mahalach, you're going to have a whole procedure, they're going to cut off the hair the next day. So comes out the mikvah that you went erev the chasana, comes out that there was a chatzitza, and it should be a problem. So Chassam Sofer is working on this kasha. Chassam Sofer, what? Oh, so Chassam Sofer says.
How do you define Roy? Roy now or Roy?
So it seems like this wasn't necessarily in 10 minutes or necessarily.
Rashi,
What does Rashi say? Yeah. Roy Listaper, right. So over here also was Roy Listaper.
What's the Shilach Pera?
It's long. It's long. It's long.
It wasn't right.
Chasam Sofer, in the Hasidic standards, this is very long. This is not acceptable.
No, it's not Roy at the time. It's only Roy when you get to the time.
Oh,
That's the time.
so that's the Chasam Sofer brings a raya from Kodshim. Chasam Sofer brings a raya from Zvachim. This is the way he answers the kasha. That he says any time, in terms of timeline, he doesn't think that would necessarily be an answer in this tshuva. He says, but any time there's a Maisa HaMafsik that's going to be in the interim between the time that we're assessing right now at the time of the mikvah and the time that they are going to do the haircut, that would not be considered oimid. So that's the Chasam Sofer's tshuva to say why it's not oimid ligazes. So he says, what's the mice over here? He says there's a maisabiyah in between. There's a din. The night of the wedding, they're going to be together, and they're going to be a maisa. So says the Chasam Sofer, because there's something that's interrupting the mikvah and the gziza, so therefore it's not oimid ligazis. But I think what Joe pointed out is, I think from the Gansa Sugya, they point out that the Gansa Sugya seems to be against the Chasam Sofer. That our Gemara says that it's Ashpucha Yishbach, and that we don't assume that it's going to be Kegaz's Dami, and you don't, his whole kasha is Oimid Ligzas Kegaz's Dami, and the pashtus of the Gemara is what? That it's not Oimid Ligzas Kegaz's Dami. And that's not, and this would be totally on Tanakama. Tanakama. That what? B'saira Oimid Ligzas Dami, and we paskin that it would still be Kekarka, and it would still be Ein Moilim Boy. So this Gemara is, you could say chilukim, hektish, I don't know, something. This is talking about what? What were you trying to do in hektish? I don't know what chiluk I'm going to make. The pashtus of the Gemara pretty much removes the whole kasha. That the Gemara assumes, at least according to Tanakama, and the way we paskin, is that Besara Omi Ligaz is Kegaz's Dami. It is Lav Kegaz's Dami, and it's Chamer L'Karka, and there wouldn't be Me'ila. And even Rabbi Meir, since it's Ishbucha Yeshbach, even Rabbi Meir is Maida that it's Lav Kegaz's Dami, and he was only saying it by Anovim, which were going to be rotted as they continue.
No, I think it's also the Mishbach. I think it's probably the value of the hair when it's longer probably gets higher. Otherwise, you think about what did they do with the hair, right?
Right.
Because they
what would they do with the hair? Right. Right. What? Right. I mean, Bisman Hazeh, there actually are beautiful things that you could give for right. The long there actually are certain requirements that I know when people have upsharons, so they want to donate their hair to cancer, associations of people to make wigs, and they won't accept a certain length. There's a certain length that it has to be in order for it to be usable to make wigs, right. So it is fascinating that this. I wanted to just a little bit go into the sugya. How do we approach this? The Gemara has an interesting suffix here. That there's going to be a lot of ramifications here about karka and about metalton that we'll get to hopefully from the Rishonim and Tosfos over here. And there's a mitzvah going to be a lot to talk about. But I thought it was just an opportune time to really discuss the approach la halacha of how do we approach seir. So it's really not clear. If you look in every area of halacha, it's not clear how to approach seir. So the Gemara says in Sukkah as follows, and it really chaps halacha l'maisa ramifications. So the Gemara in Daf15a and Aleph says as follows. So the Gemara says there's a halacha l'Moshe Sinai chatzitzin. It's 9 lines down from the bottom. Chatzitzin, so the Gemara says, de'oraisa ninu, it's a pasuk. V'rachos es b'sar b'mayim, shelo yidai davar chotzis beino levein hamayim. So there shouldn't be any separation between him and the water. So the Gemara says, you're right. I don't need a halacha l'Moshe Sinai to tell me that chatzitzas are a problem when I want to go into the mikvah. That I know from the pasuk. Rather what? Hilchos l'sayro. The halacha l'Moshe Sinai is that seyar, that the hair is also a chatzitza. If you have one string of hair that's tied up, that's why a woman has to make sure that her hair is not knotted. That's going to create a chatzitza. So the Gemara says that if it's going to be a lot of them, so then it's not going to be as tight. So therefore, it won't be a chatzitza. But if it's going to be one, it's going to be very tight. Fine. So the Gemara says, Sari namo deraisa. The Gemara says, what do you mean? I have a pasuk for Sar nami. I don't need halacha mosh b'sina for seir. The Gemara says, Dechsiv urachas et psaro b'mayim. The Gemara has a drasha, es hatafel b'saro. I know that that not only is the body chaytzitz, if something's covering the body, if something's on the body for chatzitzas, but even the hair, because it's tafel b'saro. Es is a tafel, is the subordinate, is something that's ancillary to the basar. Umayniu, and what is that item? Saro. The hair is also a chatzitza. Says the Gemara, ki ase hilchasa l'chid Rav Yitzchak. The Amar Rav Yitzchak, Dvar Torah, very important Gemara. Dvar Torah, what did Rav Yitzchak say? Very important, halacha l'maisa Gemara. Dvar Torah midoraisa rubo makbid olav chaytzitz. Midoraisa chatzitza only consists of something that's on majority of the area and is something that the woman is bothered by, is something that she would want to remove when she notices it. She's makbid about it. But v'she'eno makbid olav, eno chaytzitz. But if she's not makbid olav, she doesn't care about it, then it's not chaytzitz midoraisa. Midrabanan, the Gemara says, v'gazlo arubo she'eno makbid, but they made a gzeir d'Rabbanan that midrabanan, anything on the majority of the area is chaytzitz. Mishum rubo hamagbid. Why did they make that gzeira? Because midoraisa, what constitutes a chatzitza? If that rubo will be makbid, that she's going to want to wipe off the area that's covering or that's separating majority, that's going to be a chatzitza d'oraisa. So midrabanan, we said rubo she'eno makbid is also going to be chatzitza. Val miuto hamakbid mishum rubo hamakbid. And we also made a gzeira d'Rabbanan that even if it's on a small, minute area, but it's at least makbid. So although that's not going to be a chatzitza d'oraisa, because midoraisa you need it to be rov umakbid, midrabanan we made a gzeira of mir she'eno makbid keneged the d'oraisa of rubo hamakbid. So the Gemara asks, v'ligzer nami al miuto she'eno makbid. Why don't we also make a gzeira of a miyat that's eno makbid, mishum miyuta makbid, because miyuta makbid is also other. Says the Gemara, inami mishum ruba she'eno makbid. Says the Gemara, that doesn't make any sense. He gufa gzeira. That is a derabanan. V'ana nikim v'nigzer gzeira l'gzeira. Why would we make a gzeira to a derabanan? That would be a violation of mishmeres l'mishmarti, that you're allowed to make a mishmeres, a gzeira, for a din deoraisa. You're not allowed to make a gzeira for another derabanan. That's a gzeira l'gzeira. Lahalacha, we tell women that l'chadchila they should even try to remove even a miyat, even anything that wouldn't necessarily be chatzitz, even if it's a miyat she'eno makbid, all chatzitza should be removed. That's the psak of the Ramah, that l'chadchila beforehand. But this Gemara plays into effect post facto. Was there a rubo she'eno makbid, or was there a miyat hamakbid? That would only be chatzitz midrabanan. So everybody say, I just want to. What happened in the Gemara? The Gemara had a kasha. The Gemara said, Seyar is what you need halacha Moshe B'Sinai, because we only know chatzitza from the guf, from the pasuk. So the Gemara says no. The Gemara says, what do you mean? Seyar also has a pasuk. Es l'Rabba says tafel b'saro, and for the Gemara says the Gemara no. I need it for Rabbi Yitzchak to tell me what that the halachas when it comes to chatzitza are rubo makbid, and midoraisa only rubo makbid is chaytzitz. So everybody say now flip to the Rambam. If you noticed when I was saying it over, where's the Rambam? Oh, on the back of the Gemara in Erchin. Says the Rambam as follows: Shtei Cyrus, O Yeser, shahayu koshrin ka'achas kesher echad, einan chotzitzim ipnei shamayim boin behem. So Rambam says if you have two hairs that are tied together, since it's going to be a loose connection and the water can still get through, it's not going to be chatzitza. But if one sar tied to itself, right? You have this chiluk. I was just thinking about this now. What we're having a tough time understanding what is the difference between two things tying together, one thing tied together. So there's a shita of the Yeraim. The Yeraim holds on Shabbos that although you usually need a kesher al gabe kesher to be chayav on Shabbos, but the Yeraim holds if you tie it to itself, that will be more of a kesher. If you have at the end of one string, if you tie it to itself, it's more of a knot. Aval eino makbid olei asal tefila ad shete rov sairo kosher, until you have v'hushia makbid, says the Rambam, and now it's only a chatzitza deoraisa if you have rov. Name if they atzvo kazeh horu hagaonim. So let's read that again. V'saira achas, second line, shenikshara chotzetzes v'hushia makbid olei. One sar is going to be a chatzitza if it's makbid, and then says aval eino makbid olei also tefila ad shetiye rov sairo kosher nema, until you have rov, right? What is it? Do you understand what the Goinim just said? Again, we had a Gemara that said there's a chatzitza by Seir. The Gemara says Seir is a pasuk. I don't need a Halacha Moshe Sinai. So Gemara says you're right. I need the Halacha Moshe Sinai to teach me Rabbi Yitzchak's din. What's Rabbi Yitzchak's din? Rubo umakbid is d'oraisa. Everything else is d'rabbanan, right? Oh, so zok the Goinim. We have a fundamental shaila that you might be discussing in the Gemara Masechah Sanhedrin. How do you judge Seir? What's the nature of Seir? Is Seir now, once there's Halacha l'Moshe B'Sinai to tell me that Chatzitza counts, when it comes to Seir, or a pasuk to tell me by Seir is part of the guf? The Goinim say no. When you want to judge a Chatzitza, you have to cheshbin the hair separately than the guf. And the Gemara reads, it's actually a beautiful read in the Gemara, and I think it's Shitas Rashi, Rabbi say. It's the Pashas in Rashi. The Gemara says, the Gemara says, you're right, the Halacha l'Moshe B'Sinai was for Rabbi Yitzchak's din, that Rubo Makbid is Chaytzitz, the klal that we always quote for Chatzitza. The Gemara was saying what? That applies to Seir. That doesn't apply to Guf. The Halacha l'Moshe B'Sinai and Seir was never included in the Guf. Seir is not part of the Guf. Seir hair is a separate entity halachically. Comes along the Rambam, and the Rambam says, Lo hoya dvarim me'olam. And that's a chumrah she'ein kamo, Rabbi Isai. Think about it. You would have a chatzitza deoraisa much more easy when it comes to Seir. This is not majority of my guf. This is a part of my guf. When you're assessing it in conjunction with the whole body, this is a minority of my body. But the Gaonim say, look at the Seir separately. And if you have a rubo makbin on the Seir, it's going to be a chatzitza. And now that's going to reflect the D'Rabbanans also. If you have a mir ha-makbid, if you have a rov she'eno makbid, it's also much easier to be considered a chatzitza. No, it's not. The Gonim are saying not of the whole body, just as the hair.
What do you have a knot that's rolled to the whole hair?
Let's say you have a few hairs that are going to be knots.
And what about all the other hairs that are knots? I understand. How would you even have that?
What do you mean?
When you have a knot is small, but you have a lot of hair.
Well, maybe you should. First of all, this is a little bit of a suffix about it. Within the Shittas HaGaonim, do you judge all the hair together, or do you judge every strand of hair separately? So why can't you have a?
If your hair is, even if you have short hair, if you have a knot, it's not the majority of the length of the whole hair. Unless you have
a few knots, whatever. It's much easier to,
It sounds pretty far-fetched. How are you going to have knots? Like, the majority of the hair is not tangled.
Itai, what about you have a patch? I don't know, you have something sitting there. So forget knots.
Oh, fine. So
you have another chatzitza. You have ink. You have, you had some you had some external entity on your hair that's now gum, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a chatzitza. In context with the rest of the body, it's a miyat. So the Goinim say, no, but the Seir is not part of the body. Seir is in a separate entity.
You said you're judging, Guf has a chatzitza or not.
Right.
Seir has a chatzitza. And what's a chatzitza in Seir? It's much more stringent.
No, they're the same. The point is that the surface area is just judged amongst the Seir. The Seir is now considered its own entity. separately. That's it. Now it would have the same qualifications, the same halachas, but when it comes to the hair, we now will judge the rove in the context of the hair only. You see, if I have something on my hair, and I would now look at the hair, so I would say, you for sure don't have rove. I don't even need to look at the shaila because the rest of the body had nothing on it. But the Goyinim said, not so fast. That's not so true. You have to look at the say. So the Rambam says, absolutely not. V'yiroili shesaru shel adam kigufahu. Sar is like a goof. V'chashiv le'inyan tvila. Ve'eno kiguf b'fnei atzmo. Kedei shenemar rov haseir el afal pisha kol seir rosher kosher nema. Even if all of the seir is tied with knots, it may no makbid olav also lo tefillah. So midorais, it's a good tefillah. Elam kain it's darf l'choytzitz achar al gufa unless it connects with another chatzitza that exists on the guf. But you have to judge it in the context of the body. So Rabbi say this chakira that our Gemara is clearing about the idea of seir, it's not discussing oimid ligazes, which is specifically the shaila brought over here, but how to judge seir if it's connected and it's a hemshich of the guf is already a machlekes, the Rambam and the Goyinim. Give me 1 second, Eitan. But we'll come out, Rabbi say. Let's go back to that Gemara in Sukkah. It comes out if you read like the Goyinim. So what's that? What's the pshat in the Gemara? The Gemara said we have Halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So the Gemara is saying it's coming for seir. So the Gemara says no, you have a pasuk already. You don't need the Halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So what's the Halacha l'Moshe Sinai for? For rubo for the rove and makbid. And that's Halacha l'Moshe Sinai where? For the entire body? Or just for seir? So the Goyinim are telling you it's for seir. The Rambam's telling you no, the Halacha Moshe Sinai was about the whole body. Whoa! So according to the Goyinim, so how do you know that rov umakbid is only rov is a chatzitza when it comes to the body? So look at Taisus. Taisus there in Sukkah says, because if you see the top Rashi really sounds like the Goyinim. Dvar Torah, Halacha Moshe Sinai, Rubo, what does Rashi say? Rov Sairo. Sounds like the Goyinim in Rashi. Zok Toisvis, Dvar Torah, Rubo Makbid Lav Chaitzes, Yesh Befarshim Dahacha Ayri B'Seir, Aval B'Basar Chaitzes, Afilu Mi'uto She'eno Makbid. Whoa. If you say this halacha l'Moshe Sinai is only in Seir because you view Seir to be a separate entity and there was never halacha l'Moshe Sinai said, Legabe the shiurim of Rabbi Yitzchak, when it comes to the rest of the guf, Tosfos says you can have a tremendous chumrah on your hand. Anytime you have a mashu shebemashu on the body, that should b'lai b'chatzitza because you never have halacha l'Moshe Sinai because you use the halacha l'Moshe Sinai on the entity that's not part of the guf, which is the Seir. And then Tosfos goes to attack and says, this is impossible. This is against Shas. We have Gemaras all over that seem to say. We could probably get around those Gemaras, but potentially right now in the air, this issue of whether or not Seir is considered a separate entity or not considered a separate entity, chaps major nafkaminas in the world of Chatzitza, the Rambam and the Goyinim, potentially Rashi and Tosfos in Maseches Sukkah, and could even have potential nafkaminas legabe the Chatzitzas on the guf. Yeah, Eitan. No, so if it's a miyat on your body, that's not a chatzitza mid'oraisa. Okay. Automatically. Only rubo, at least according to the way most Rishonim read the Gemara. How could you have a chatzitza d'oraisa? Yeah. Very hard. Very hard. Very hard. Very hard to have a shah. Most of our shilas, I mean, Baruch Hashem, most of our shilas are not even chatzitzas. But most of our shilas that we deal with are at most derabon, but which Baruch Hashem. But according to the Goyinim, if we were to pass like the Goyinim, whoa, you would be in. That's not so hard. That's not so hard. And according to the inference of Tosfos Lafi the Goyinim or Lafi Rashi, so then what? You just lost Rubo Makbid Lagabe the Guf. That's going to have major ramifications. But Rabbi said this all comes down to it. What's going on over here in the Gemara is, how do you assess Seir? Is Seir an outgrowth of the Guf? Is Seir a separate entity, which is going to have serious nafkaminas in the world of Hilchos Nida, in the world of So now let's talk about another area. What about, we don't have time to read the Gemara in Erchin. You have the Gemara over here. Not really. What's this? Oh no, this is from last week. Where's the Gemara in Erchin? Oh, you do have it. Sorry. It's Gemara in Erchin. This is a very important Gemara, not for what I'm about to talk about. The Gemara in Daf15a in Erchin is talking about a woman who is Chayiv Mises Bezdin. She was Mechal Shabbos or whatever she did, and she's going to be killed. She happens to be pregnant at the time. So the Mishnah says you do not wait for her to have the kid and you kill her. So this is one of the major discussions about abortion. This why is it that we're not concerned about the uber? That's this sugya. So then the Gemara says, what about the seir? What about her seir after she's dead? So the Gemara says the isha shenerga. The Gemara says that the seir is mutter. So the Gemara asks on Zayin Beis in the middle of the daf, va'amai isuri hananinu. So the Gemara is assuming that what the seir is aser b'hana. There's nafkaminas for people who take off the seir of dead people. Is it aser b'hana? And potentially, it's a machlokes rishonim. Does this also apply to a guy? Depending on whether or not a guy is aser b'hana midaraisa midarabanan is a shiloh the Mishnah Melech discusses, but potentially this could have a lot of ramifications if people with wigs and sheitos, is it aser b'hana or not? So the Gemara says, "V'amai as isuri anoninu." So why is the seir mutter? So the Gemara says, "Ba'imeres tnu." She said originally that she wants to donate it. So what? Suddenly the halacha is when a person says you can donate it, so therefore what? All the halachas don't exist. So that's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara says. So listen to the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara says, so what? Ilu amra tnu yadi lebite mi avinallah. She's going to say, give my hand to my daughter, so you're going to give it? So the Gemara says, what's going on over here? Just because you want to be generous? So the Gemara says, no. Amarav b'pei. It's not talking about her natural hair. It's talking about a wig that she had. So the wig is not considered connected. Timer damer tnu alomer tnu gufahu umitzer. I don't understand. And the wig, and if she wouldn't have said that she's donating it, it would have been usher. Has nothing to do with her body. So the Gemara says, "V'hami ba'ila Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina." This is already a suffix that's brought up by Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina. The Rabbi Yosef Chanina, because Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina had a suffix. Seir nashim tzidkanius mahu. What's the din of the women that were righteous that are not going to be killed with the yer nidachas that's going to be destroyed? We tell the righteous women that they could be saved, but what? They're saved and their property is not saved. The rest of their property has to be totally burned. So the Gemara wants to know, ask Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina, it's unbelievable, the Gemara's shilas that it has with yer nidachas that never existed. Does the wig of the nashim tzidkanius, the sheitels, do they go out? It's going to be very tough to get these women out if they're not going to be able to take their sheitels. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yosef Reb Chanina, Seir nashim tzidkanius mahu. V'amar Rava, and Rava explained, b'pei nachars, it's talking about with the sheitel. So the Gemara says, no, the Gemara says, no, that's when it was just hanging, it was connected, but it wasn't fully mechuber to her. Here it's, those wigs that are totally attached to her, so therefore the Gemara says, Taimadamr tznu, alomer tznu gufahu, umitzer. So the Gemara says that what? That's the suffix. So the end of this Gemara, what I just read to you is what? It sounds like Seir is part of the guf, because we're all saying that it's mechuber, but Seir is aser b'hana of a mace. That was the Gemara's assumption. But that changes in the next line. That what? That everything that's talking about behema is the halacha when it comes to the woman who's killed as well. And just like the behema is not wearing any sheitels, it's not artificial wigs, so it's really the shearings of the natural bodies. So Rabbi Nachman says that's a shver pshat. Ma'hasam gufi af hachanami gufe. Ela Amar Rav Nachman, listen to this. So Rav Nachman says he misunderstood. Zu misasa usrasa, v'zu gmardina israsa. What does that mean? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Nachman, look at Rashi. Don't ask me kashas from Yerani Dachas. Yerani Dachas is what? La'olam sarer mamish. Udikashilach. I'm sorry. Really, it's talking about her regular hair. Udikashilach Isurei Ana, but it can't be. How could you say that her hair is mutter, but it's Isurei Ana because it's from her, it's growing from her? Lokasha. The seyar ameis mitzer bana the loy dami leseyar behema sheneraga the isha misasa osrasa v'seya lav bar miso. Seyar's not alive. Seyar, what do they say? Seyar is dead veins. Hair is dead veins. Is that? But what I'm saying is that true? With it's not true, right?
It's not veins.
No, it's not there.
Veins.
Right,
It's
right. I was once told that it was.
It's not veins.
Yeah.
No,
So right, so says Rav Nachman, Seyar's not like the body. Over here, when she's killed and she dies, the misa is what asers the guf. Every part of her body creates that her body's going to be mace. But if it's a part of the body that's totally not connected to the guf, meaning what? It never had life in the first place, so that's not what is geirim nigram based on the misa. So what? It's not going to be asar ana. Comes along the Mechaber in Hilchos Avelus, the Mechaber paskin sayer of a mace is asar ba'ana. Comes along the Kudus HaKesef and he says, I don't understand. You read through the Gemara, you read through Rov Rishonim, they paskin like Rav Nachman. And Rav Nachman, so you see, this issue of the nature of sayer not only affects a machloikas the Ram and the Goinim in Hilchos Chatzitza Legabi Anida, it affects the difference between Seyar, the fact that it's not alive, the fact that it's an outgrowth, it's not connected, it's only connected to the body, so that's not necessarily going to give it life, and therefore it not necessarily is going to become Asar Ba'ana, and therefore many poskim think that the Seyar is not included in the Isser Hanav Mace, and a Seyar will be allowed to be used after Misa, because the Misa is not Nigram. So you see, our issue of whether or not we view Seyar kiguf, or we view Seyar lav kiguf, even if it's kigaz, even if it's aimidli gazes, is it still part of the body, seems to have ramifications all over Shas. We just mentioned a few of them, and then in Mirza Hashem, our next year, we're going to have to get into the nitty-gritty lumdis of whether or not, first of all, whether or not anavim amodim libatzer, is it kekarka or not kekarka? There seems to be major steers in the Rishonim and a few different other sugyas that connects to the issues of mechuber lekarka or not. I'll just leave you with the following question. The Rambam is inconsistent when it comes to some of these halachas of mechuber lekarka and not mechuber lekarka. Rav Moshe Soloveitchik had a whole essay on this topic. Let's take for the following example. Let's say you have a building. So you have a building, so the materials of that building were once metaltalin. And now I make it into a building, I built this house, right? So now if a person bows down to this house, so the Rambam paskins in Hilchos Avodah Zarah, that is Asar Ba'ana. It's Asar Ba'ana. Why? Since it was once a building, since it was once a movable object, that is now going to be something that could become Asar. But then the Rambam says, if you take bricks and you build it, and now you would be makdish it. So the Rambam says there is no me'ilah. So the Rambam seems to be contradicting himself in the areas of Hilchos mechuber lekarka. What areas we view it as mechuber lekarka? What areas we don't view it as mechuber lekarka? So Mirza Hashem, this sugya of anovim amodim libatzer, how we paskin about this sugya, Mirza Hashem should shed light and hopefully affect all different areas of the nature of karka and mechuber lekarka in terms, and we'll do that in Mirza Hashem in the future. Stay tuned in Mirza Hashem about whether or not there'll be a shir next week. As of now, it seems that we're not going to have a shir, but if anything changes or if we have a different night, I guess we'll stay